Welcome to another episode of Big Mike and Little Ant. What episode is this, Ant? Help me out. 12, 11?
11.
Episode 11, as we keep on churning them out, keep
That's
on
right.
moving forward. Also, before I even get into let you know, we also put out a new movie review today, this morning, for the movie The Old Guard. So please check that out, like, comment, or subscribe.
Oh, yeah.
But this is Big Mike and Little Ant, our podcast, where we talk about all types of different topics, which I think you guys will enjoy, with lots of different range in them. I'm Big Mike, of course.
And I'm Little Ant.
Little Ant, and we're gonna just dive right into it, man. You know who we are, you know what we do. So,
Right.
like always, of course, like, comment, and subscribe. So, our first topic is about systemic racism, because it's been very prevalent in today's society,
Right.
especially after the death of Mr. George Floyd, and it became a term, I guess, which was not well known to some, but now is becoming well known to more. I want to
Right.
talk about it and dive into it and see what you guys might know about it and how you feel about it. So go
Right.
ahead, Ant. What you want to
Yeah.
say?
So I was listening to the radio this week, listening to the news, and it was actually it's station WHYY. I'm not sure of the number, but WHYY at 9 o'clock they have a segment called Black Owned Radio, and so they were mentioning the whole topic was systemic racism, and it made me think about it because I personally didn't know the term until George Floyd. So Mike did send me a video, little animated video that was maybe 2 minutes long, 3 minutes long, a couple months or a month ago, and it was pretty cool because it pretty much breaks down that when you were growing up, if you were Black growing up, you was in a certain area, and so in that certain area you had less resources to you. So and by default you were going to grow up and be less off than another culture, because you just grew up with those less resources. Like your teachers didn't get paid as much, so maybe the schools you went to didn't have certain wasn't teaching you the same things that other schools were teaching. So there, your education was a little under. You didn't have certain activities to go to, so now you was just hanging outside. And at the end of the day, it's bad people everywhere. But the good kids end up becoming bad kids or shuffle with the bad kids because they didn't have more outlets to go to. And so people of color kind of grew up less fortunate, so to speak. And so again, it's different than just strict racism. Hey, I'm white and I don't like you because you're Black, right? It's more that you can't get this job because you don't have the education, so you don't qualify, but because you were put in that place since birth, it wasn't your fault anyway. And the people who are not allowing you to get the job, they didn't really do it to you, so they're not racist towards you, but you still don't qualify. But at the same time, it's still not your fault and it's not their fault. It's systemic racism. So Mike, if you could touch on it a little bit more, being that you know a lot more about it than me.
Yeah. So I think the key word, as you said, is not like blatant as, like, racism. It's like in your face, I guess, the
Right.
best way to put it. But the key word to it is systemic. So basically, there's a system put in place to make sure that a certain race stays underneath a certain race and whatnot. And it's legally because it's a system put in place. So that's how they do it without just, like, lynching us or making us slaves or things of that nature. So there's their red line. Remember the video? There's their whole red line that they have. And basically the red line is a line to where Black people or other races had to stay within these particular parameters. And if they tried to go get a loan to other neighborhoods that may have been better school districts, like you were saying, things of that nature, if it was over this imaginary, quote unquote, red line, the bank would deny them for years. So that the bank would deny them to get there, the kids wouldn't get as educated as the other kids in other cultures. And then the line goes to what colleges they get into, right? Because they can't get accepted because
Right.
the curriculum at the high schools that they went to, the colleges are saying, well, you might have got all A's, but this curriculum wasn't on par with their teaching at the other schools
Right.
and whatnot. And then they went to whatever college and then going to the job. Now the job is saying, look at your resume, like, all right, cool, you were summa cum laude, but this college is not all that. So it's just and then it goes to the job you got to get, you won't make as much money. So that's why it's like a systemic way to keep us in a certain place and not, let us go forward. And it's a shame, because it went on for so long, and that's kind of what we're trying to end right now, is that systemic, not in your face, not legal way to do it, and try to make people more aware of that, because like you said, I think people weren't aware of what was going on and how long it was going on. It's like anything else to me. It's like, they legally took away slavery at one point, right? So they tried to, then illegally, took, like, they had the civil rights movement. They let us vote, all types of other things, right? So then other races try to say, okay, how can we make sure they never get above us? And this was part of the way.
Right. It was
This
set
is
in place.
generationally. Yeah, exactly. And this is generationally. So, as you keep going down, it won't, we can't never get past them, because they're going to always get the better job, always get the better schools, and yada, yada, yada.
Right. So I think one thing that is, they said George Floyd, I never met the man, but he was a really good guy. He was a kind guy, he loved everybody. So at least, only thing I can say is, I guess, his death hopefully isn't going in vain, because it made a public awareness on a lot of different things. I don't know when I would have known about systemic racism if this didn't happen,
Yeah.
So
or Juneteenth, remember?
or yes, even that. Yeah, Juneteenth. That's right. So,
yeah.
But what I'm gonna do is look for that video, and if I find it, I'll link it, guys. It'll be after this.
Yeah, it's way more detailed than what I said, but that's the basic gist of it. A way to keep us from getting to a certain level is what the basic definition of systemic racism is and whatnot. And it's a shame, because I feel like younger generations of even white people, they don't even realize it's happening.
Right.
So necessarily, like you said, they're not in your face racist. They just don't know and stuff like that. So it's more ignorance than racism.
Funny. It's now. So it was done years ago. But nowadays, a lot of it isn't intentional, because, like you said, some white people have no clue. The guy working at the bank, right, that's saying your loan is denied, he's just following protocol. He's just reading what comes on the screen after you fill out your application, said, dude, you can't get the loan. He's not being racist, but it was set in place for systemic racism.
Right, exactly. So definitely got to get it more known. And I will say with George Floyd, just to piggyback off of you, and I said it's on Food for the Culture as well, other podcasts I do, but I'm happy it's making more awareness, and I think it was a perfect storm of when it happened. So who knows, is there a higher power that took George to make things happen? You know what I mean? And I want to get into all that, but I will say that what I'm upset about is the energy we had a month ago as a Black culture compared to today. Right. And I feel like we're easily distracted by other things. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody's talking about the whole Jada Pinkett, Will Smith thing now, everywhere you go. Right. They're talking about rap battles and all this other stuff, and a lot of stuff where, like, and if you look at your most people look at their IG or Facebook feeds, a month and a half ago or 5 weeks ago, it was all Black Lives Matter, all George Floyd, all protests, all systemic racism, all this other stuff. Look at it today, it's more girls twerking, it's more dudes on the block, blah blah blah. It's like the energy just went all the way down. So it's like, was it just for the pictures then, or did you really believe in the cause of trying to get better?
Well, I always believe that it's a lot of things is a bandwagon system. I feel like there's a lot of people who are impartial. A lot of people, like, for instance, you bring up politics. There's a lot of people who don't care. But if you sat in a room with people, they are talking, and you're thinking like, oh, they're diehard into politics. They don't really care. They're just on the bandwagon, because it's like the kids. I remember my wife's daughter and my daughter, right? So we're going back a couple years ago. My wife's daughter's 15 right now. My daughter's 14. They'd come home from school. Oh, we can't stand the president and this and that. It's like, yo, you're a little kid. You don't even know. You're just listening to your parents talk. You're listening to other people, kids come to school. So what I'm saying is, a lot of people that was diehard with Black Lives Matter and a lot of things. I feel like a lot of people are bandwagon jumpers. So they're into the wave and what's going on. But again, like you said, they're easily distracted because something else come on, because they wasn't really committed. It wasn't really like, no, this is serious, this is me. So something new come on, it's easy to be like, squirrel, you know? So,
Right. Yeah. And I feel like definitely within it's funny because I feel like we hold more power because we do have higher positions as a black community than we did, let's say 50 years ago.
right,
But I think our commitment overall was probably higher then. Like I feel like those people who were Martin Luther King marching, they were
right,
marching for years. You know what I mean? It wasn't just
right.
like for a month or whatever like that. But I feel like now we're distracted much more and than what we were then, from this. So,
I agree. Yeah.
yeah. And also, like I said, people weren't working a lot then. As jobs have come back, again, who's willing to say, I'm going to take off work for
Oh
the
yeah.
next 5 days to go protest and stuff
No,
like that? You
no.
know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of different, factors to it. So it's just interesting to me to see. Cause I watched that when it happened. I was like, I want to see how its energy goes in a month. And
Right.
before you know it, it's just everything on IG, Facebook is back to what it was before. So
Or you're trying to figure out what's going on with that entanglement.
yeah, exactly. But we don't want to go into that because that's a whole nother topic. Let's go
Right.
to the circle. So tell me about the circle.
All right. So the circle, I'm not going to say names at all here, but the circle came up into my vision this week, actually. Someone I know contacted me and mentioned to me, they actually didn't call it the circle, but it said, hey, I have this business that I got into and I would like you to take a look at it. You can make a lot of money. Now, anyone who knows me knows I'm the king of network marketing. I did Amway, I did Quickstar, I did Stream, I did you name it. I've always been into trying to make outside money besides just working a job. And these things can be very lucrative, but they get the term pyramid scheme on top of them. Now, there are things that are a scheme or a scam, but there are things that's legit. It just takes a lot of work in order for you to be make a lot of money. So anyway, in the past, people will contact me because they knew, talk to Anthony because you know him, man. He might want to be in on it, or he'll break it down for you. Like people will call me and ask me to look at their video of an invitation of a certain network marketing thing, and I will watch it and write down, okay, I think it's good because of this, but I don't know about that. That might be hard for you to make money, blah blah blah. So anyway, someone came to me, told me about we're gonna call it the circle, and so I was like, oh, that sounds interesting, but it sounds kind of weird. So the very next day, somebody I know called me, and I called them back because when I got time, and they was like, "Hey, it's this new thing I heard about. I thought of you," and I was like, "That's funny because just last night somebody called me. So okay, now it's like the new buzz because maybe I'll say 8 years ago, network marketing was like the thing on Facebook. Everybody was like, oh, trying to get people to do Herbalife or Prime America or you name it, right?
Yeah.
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 So again, I don't knock any of them. You can, and I personally know people who are, I know two people specifically who are millionaires because of this. So anyhow, go back to the circle. So my thing is, I like to look at the pros and cons. So the circle ideal is, and you may have heard it, may have not, and some of you who have, and it's getting a lot of people, and the reason why I want to talk about it, in the low income. So there's a lot of Black people, there's a lot of Spanish people, there's a lot of ethnic people or people in lower income that's actually into this or interested in this because they think it's a way to make money. And we always say, watch out for the get quick scheme. So anyway, the way it was presented to me is there's kind of like a circle. You join and you put $100 in. Some you can put $200 in. Some you can put $5. Some you can put $1,500 in, right? And let's just use the $100 example. So what you're supposed to do is you put $100 into a pool, pretty much, right? And you're supposed to bring two people in, and they put their $100 in, and they got to get their two people. So the goal is when so many people get in, putting their $100, it pushes you to the middle of the circle, and then your payout is 800. Well, you put 100 in, so you pretty much make $700. So you're able to make $700 off of $100. Sounds good to me, right? But then you start thinking like, well, when I did network marketing, what I learned was it's not illegal if you're paying money for either a service or either B, a product. So for instance, if I sell you this fly swatter and you give me $15, I give it to you, you give me the money, right? if I say, hey, I'm gonna show you my workout video, and you could, I'm selling you a service, right? My workout video, and you give me money. It's nothing tangible, but it's still something you receive, right? So the circle, or some people call it the flower or the water, literally people are paying money to just get money, right? So that threw me off. I was like, so it's kind of like gambling, but at least gambling, you're trying to win something. Like somebody said, well, it's just like a football pool. Yeah, but a football pool, you're trying to win something. It's a competition. This almost sounds like embezzlement. It almost sounds like money laundering. You're literally just trying to use money to get money, nothing in exchange.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the more I was hearing about it and different people, and then I was like, okay, I asked questions. I like, people know when I get into stuff, I'm either here or here. Like when I talked about the religion thing, I jump in, I go crazy. So if I'm gonna do anything, I want to make sure it's legal, first of all, and I want to do my fact checking. So I was curious if you heard of it, because I never heard of it, but then I talked to my son and he said, oh yeah, about January, it was like a big thing with younger people, and everybody was talking about it. But we knew it was a scam. We knew, like, because what would happen is, so if you jumped in and everybody have to pay 100, right? What would happen if the person get paid out and then he left and then some of his people left? Then how are you ever going to get your money if people dropped out? So then you kind of got cut short. And then somebody took their money and ran. They decided not to continue and then put more money in for the bigger pool. So
right, I'm listening. So
no, that's fine.
I heard about this week, so I'll let you finish. But I heard about this week too, and I'm not
cool.
to talk about what it is.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I was looking it up, and what I read was, it says, in order to make money, new people constantly have to be recruited into the circle. In order for the first 8 people to be paid, 64 new people have to buy in. At some point, the system collapses and people lose money. Not only will you lose money, this activity is also illegal in the US and many other countries. So a bunch of people I talked to said, nah, it's legal, you could do it. But I said, well, listen, we live in the United States, so let's be for real, right? With the exception of Delaware, how are you paying taxes on this then? Because everybody just paid on Cash App. So how are you paying taxes? Like I do I'm an MC, right? And my part-time, I still receive a 1099 every year because I'm contracted by a company. So unless I'm doing it under the table and you just giving me money, then how is it legal if it's not being taxed? The government,
and once it's on Cash App, the government can follow it because it's on an app at that point, where they can see where the money is going. Like you said, it's not like I'm giving you money. If it's on Cash App or any other site, the government can track it at that point. So like you said, they're going to want their money. And that was that first point was mine. Like I heard it from Jazz, my barber or whatever like that. But he didn't do it yet himself. He heard about it himself. But his is a little bigger. It's like 2 people put in, I think they put in 400 or something like that to get either like 2,000 or something like that. So it's like a larger version and whatnot. Basically, I think it's 500.
It's so they allow you to want to get into different circles that you feel comfortable with.
Right. So my thing was, like you said, like you got to be able to not only have your 2 people, but make sure the cycle can continue. That all those people can have 2 people that can keep coming up with that money. And like the thing said, once the chain falls, you're SOL and whatnot. So it's kind of like it's kind of, I don't know, like it's too many people to be accountable for as one person, for you to be able to make the money, I feel like, and whatnot.
Well, it goes back to that thing where in network marketing, they would say, would you want 100% of your energy or 1% of 100 people's energy, right? So you figure like, okay, well, if each person was doing their part, only giving 1%, but then if I could just make the money on my own, because I'm accountable for myself. So it's tricky, because if each of us are responsible to put in 100, then you get mad and feel like you got, like I actually personally know somebody who felt like they got burned because they put their money in a $500 one, and they didn't get their money because people dropped out. So they was like, yo, but I do know someone who's like die hard, getting a bunch of people keep calling me trying to get me to do it. My whole
I'm
thing
sorry.
is,
Hold on. Everybody's watching our review right now and texting me about it. So it's actually related to Big Mike and Little Ant. So I
oh,
love it.
nice. Yeah. That's pretty cool. Are they saying they liked it?
The review they like, but and everything's good about that. But my boy said sometimes he don't like even though it's no spoilers, he don't like being told if it's going to be a plot twist either, because then he'll
Okay.
go into it looking for the twist. So maybe we should kind of get rid of that in some of our
I agree.
future reviews.
I agree. Yeah. Because I'm one of those people that I don't like spoilers. Well, you know me. I'm like anti-spoilers. But I agree.
Right.
If somebody tell me anything, then my brain start trying to look for it, and then I might jump the gun on the movie and maybe figure it out, or maybe even go into it looking at it differently, and then it'd be something else, and I feel like it was ruined. But it was my mind did it.
Yeah, he did say he understands why we did it because plot twists are so common. They're in most movies now anyway.
Right.
But he said, sometimes he would go into it looking for us. We can leave that out moving forward.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. So yeah, that's
I
cool.
get what he's saying.
That's
So,
awesome
but
feedback.
as far as our review, they loved it.
Yeah, awesome feedback, guys. Make sure you check out our review. It will be in the link below. Also, Food for the Culture will be in the link below. Please check out Mike on his other podcast. It's awesome. Mental Theater will be in the link below as well. That's another podcast we do where we talk about specifically movies in that industry. But yeah,
and to this show, I got a surprise announcement for you guys too, as well. Just to let you guys know.
And again, I had no clue what he's talking about, so I'm looking forward to it as well. Yeah, so the circle or the flower, aka the water, is interesting, and I think it's going to come up more because I follow the trends when network marketing is to get big. Then everybody start talking about it. I guess maybe because, like my son said, the younger people was into it, and the younger people aren't that into Facebook or certain stuff. But here's what's crazy. It's another app called Telegram, and so the person I know, they were showing me that they respond to each other on Telegram. So I was thinking, I got Telegram when my wife, I got her eyebrows done for Christmas, and so the lady who did it is Russian, so she used Telegram. So Telegram is like WhatsApp kind of, right? But that's what she uses. So I had a Telegram account, and because I was helping her son create a YouTube channel, so I had opened up a Telegram account so I could communicate. So out of nowhere, I seen a lot of people saying, join Telegram, join Telegram. I'm like, why are these people join Telegram? Well, because they're all joining the circle, and that's how they communicate through Telegram. They don't put it on Facebook. They don't put it on WhatsApp. They don't put it on IG. They're only putting it on Telegram. So I was like,
like I said, man, I'll be willing to risk 50 or 100 to get whatever.
Right.
I might be willing to risk that, but once I'm risking $500,
right.
and I got to be, I need 64 people in order for me to make money.
Right.
That's a lot at that point.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't need to bring it myself, but the people who I get, they got to, make sure they're doing their part. And as soon as somebody doesn't do it or somebody backs out, if I got to lose it, I don't find that. It's not a very high risk reward to me or whatever.
Oh yeah, not at all, because it's dependent on your two people getting two people and their two people and their two people. So I feel like when I did network marketing, it's similar, but you still make money as you're getting people, right? It's not like you can't get paid unless all of these people, 64 people is a lot of people in order to make $700.
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, you know me. I'd rather put that money in the stock market. I probably would have made more in less time than I would have, worried about the accountability of all those people, honestly. So,
So I just wanted to bring it up. I want to ask you that, and it's cool that you actually heard about it. But guys, for you watching, listen, I'm going to put this disclaimer out there. I'm all for people hustling, making money, do whatever you do, how you want to do it. Again, life is about preferences. What you do may be different from what I want to do, right? What I may judge as, oh, don't ever do that. You may be like, that's cool. So I'm not telling you not to do it. I'm just telling you I've just recently heard of it. I thought it was a good topic because again, one person tell me one day, the very next day somebody else tell me his barber just told him. So obviously people are talking about it. So, and Mike and I, we like to cover everything, so we wanted to bring it up. And so I want to bring it to you guys. So again, I'm not saying don't do it. I'm not saying to do it. I'm just bringing up the conversation. And whether it's legal or not, I don't actually know that for sure. I didn't call the Better Business Bureau. But I will say this. I said to my friend, I said, well, let me ask you this, who told me about it. I said, in network marketing, there's always your very first rule. The first thing you want to know, the most basic thing. I said, what is it called? He was like, I don't even know. So the next day, or the same day when I talked to the other person, so let me ask you this. What is it called? They was like, it's called a flower. as I'm reading their text messaging, because they were trying to show me all the stuff in Telegram, everybody's saying, welcome to the water. Thanks for joining the water. And I'm like, well, you just said the flower. They're calling it the water. So either you're lying to me or you didn't really know. And I don't know which is worse. So, again, I'm not saying it's illegal. I mean, the thing I read, Google said it's illegal. I didn't call the Better Business Bureau because I guess I don't even got a name to use anyway. But, so just we're putting it out there, bringing the topic up, guys.
All right. And next we got, and I don't want to spend too much time on this, but your new stance on the coronavirus.
Yep. So I won't spend too much time on it as well. But I will say this. I do agree with Mike, and I agree with a lot of people. I could admit it when I was wrong. I really didn't think the coronavirus was going to stay that long. When it first happened, I'm like, humans were resilient. Our antibodies are resilient. Our technology is resilient. This thing won't last longer. It won't last outside of April. That didn't happen. And even when I went to Delaware, I seen them actually functioning with it, right? So I went to the movies. I went to a park. I went to dinner, multiple restaurants, indoors. We did so many things in Delaware. It was like, went to the mall. It was like regular life, but with masks, with social distancing. And I realized, man, people are living with the virus as if like it was just common to get out the car and put your mask on. So it made me think over those weeks, because I was back in June, that man, yeah, I don't know. Reason why I don't see when it's gonna end or could predict it is because I watch a seesaw. We open up things and then we close them because the spikes went up. But then we only close for like a week or two and then open it back up. That's not long enough for us to eradicate it like other countries. And other countries still haven't, like it's done, and if they have, we're still opening up planes where people can fly all over. So that's why my stance changed, and I believe we may be dealing with this for a very long time.
Yeah. As you know, I was very, very early on the fact that it would change everything. Like
Yeah, you
before
was.
it even before I was even out of work, I said that.
You said it. You literally said this is gonna change life the way we know it. And I was like, all right, now you're getting out of hand. Because that's a strong term. That's a really strong, those are some strong words,
Right. And wait, I don't want to segue yet. So I want to say this about the planes. I will say that it's crazy how like the thing reversed. Where like in the beginning we were keeping people out of the United States. Now they're keeping us out of their countries. We're only allowed in 2 other countries right now because we're the country with the highest spike. Like you never would have thought the United States will be the people who are looked at like you guys are,
right.
I don't want to say dirty, but we don't want you over here at all
Right.
and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It was always the other way around, right? Growing
Right.
up, stuff like that. So it's super interesting how that happened. And now, so we're not allowed in other countries, but then within each other, we're not allowing each other to go to other states without
Right.
quarantining, for 14 days, once you get there. To your point, you went to Delaware a month ago maybe. And now you go to Delaware and come back, you got to quarantine 14 days.
Yeah. So now I go to Delaware and come back. I can't go to work. Like,
right.
Yeah.
Right.
What's that?
That's what I'm saying. The moment if you try to go, if you mention, if somebody watches a video, you went to Delaware, oh yeah, you got to go home, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like
right.
it would be crazy and stuff like that. So, I think, but I do agree with you. It's definitely going to be around for a while. Something we just have to function with society. Us being New Jerseyans, I love what our governor has done, and I'll say it again. If he feels like that, opening up will lead us to the path that Florida, Texas, California went on, he can say just like this: don't close nothing back up, but don't open nothing else up. If he feels like this is our best way to victory. I think, and you're in New Jersey, as well, the things we're able and allowed to do, I think we've grown I think because we were very early on like a lot of the rules, I think we've grown to a functioning as New Jerseyans, I think, like that, where we're just like, it's regular for us, you know what I'm saying? Like that.
Yeah,
and
sure.
but I do think that it will be around. I think at this point, everyday life is not so bad. I think when it comes to bigger events, is where you see the biggest change. A movie
Right.
theater, a concert, a sporting event, you know, stuff like that that can't happen. You
Right.
can't have festivals, you know, carnivals probably later this, you know, later
Oh
this
yeah.
year.
Yeah.
Things like that are where you're going to see the biggest change. But not, I mean, not where you wear a mask. I think not every day going to Walmart or going to the 7-Eleven. I think it's it's so ingrained in us
It
now.
is. Yeah.
It's not affecting us at all functionality wise anymore.
Yeah, I agree.
But I want to segue that to the next topic, which I'll speak on, is where
Oh
has
yeah.
Mike been and whatnot, which I see he's very excited about over there. So to
Well,
the
can I
point,
just say why I'm excited?
yeah.
I'm excited because you were Mr. Again, what you just said was you agree with me. No, I agree with you because you said it first. But you were Mr. I'm not going nowhere. I'm buying 800 masks. I'm staying in my house. So now I'm smiling so much to hear Mike's been somewhere. You left the house? I thought you just go for walks. That's it. So please tell us, sir.
So I do want to say on previous videos or chats, I don't know where, but I did say once the cases got under to a certain number, I would feel more comfortable going places. And the Jersey is consistently under that number. So I want to say I'm not contradicting myself.
Yeah, I
I'm
did
just
ask
following my
you.
own
Yes,
path.
once upon a time, I did ask you what would it take for you? How many cases? What would it take for you to get out? Right.
Yes, you did. And I answered the question. So
Yeah.
I want to say that. So, but, I actually, I said under 1,000 a day. Because at the time we're getting like 4,000 a day. We're
Right.
under 500 a day. So I'm actually like double under that, you know, what it is.
Right.
So, I want to say when the numbers started really dropping in Jersey, I went to a barbecue at my dad's house I'm gonna listen to everything. You know, barbecue at my dad's house a few weeks ago. Less than 10 of us were there. We social distance. It was very, very nice to see my family around that time. I went to a restaurant. So what I did was I went to PA and whatnot, actually. So I went to a restaurant over in PA. I went to a small Italian restaurant. This was about 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Okay.
And it was raining that day, so they didn't allow the outdoor dining, but they let us come in the place. And when I was in there, to be quite honest with you, this was over a month ago. So I know it didn't actually affect me at this point, luckily, but I didn't feel as comfortable because, and I'm going to get into that in a second, because they were an Italian restaurant. They let me eat indoors, but I didn't feel like they, you know, all the staff didn't have on masks in there, I felt like, and I wasn't as comfortable. Moving forward, I decided I thought about it. I said, well, they're only one location in one city,
Right.
and who's really policing them, right? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And who was really thinking about it? So I said, let me try to think about it. If I go to chain restaurants, they probably already before they even open back up and whatnot, they probably did supreme cleaning. They're following all these guidelines because if they get, you know, first of all, it'll be very, very public if a chain restaurant gets a lawsuit for not following guidelines. So I went to Longhorn, and much better. They only allow at that time 50% capacity.
Now, hold up. Sorry, let me cut in. You say when you went to Italian restaurant, you went indoor or outdoor?
I went indoors because it was
Indoor.
raining.
Okay.
I couldn't go outdoors at the time because it was like cats and dogs. Even with tents, I would have got wet. So I went indoors. So I didn't feel comfortable. Longhorn also indoor. This is all in PA. PA allows indoors to a certain extent.
Okay.
Longhorn, I went indoors, but it was only 50% capacity. So my wait was probably like a good 40 minutes, right? Because they wouldn't let me in because they only 50% capacity, which is fine for me. They sat us away from other people. Entire staff had on masks. It was very, very clean. They only had the paper menus, as you know, because you've been in restaurants too, and stuff like that. And it felt very comfortable and very safe at that. The next restaurant I went to, which was about a week later, now PA is 25% capacity because, you know, they see things happening in other countries, so it makes you even more comfortable. Was Fridays. And same thing. And they actually have indoor and outdoor. You can choose whichever you want to go to there. But it was so hot that day. I couldn't do the outdoor. So I went indoors as well there. Same thing. I think in my section, because not only 25%, I might have been the only person in my section, bro, for like at least a good, I would say, at least a good 10 tables
Okay.
between me and the next person. So I'm nowhere near them.
Yeah.
My
Oh.
waitress had on a mask. They had on they same thing, paper menus. They had contactless, you know, I could pay for my own bill without, you know, anybody, you know, me contacting anyone. So that felt very, very comfortable once again. And I also went outdoors to play mini golf, actually.
Okay.
And that was pretty cool because there's never that many people there. And I went at night, and it was probably one other person on the course, and they were like always 2 holes ahead of me, right? So I never was, if you got a mini golf course, but I'm sure you
Yeah,
do,
yeah,
I
yeah.
never was, you know, around them.
Yeah.
And
That's how and that's
when
how
I went,
mini golf is regularly.
it
Yeah.
is, yeah. And when I paid, you know, I paid through the glass, to the girls through the glass. There was sanitizer right next to that was on the wall on the outside. You can use. They had wipes by the little you know, the golf clubs. I don't know why I lost my thought. Golf clubs. So again, comfortable activities. Now, here's a however effect to
Okay.
my other show. I tried to go do shooting range, right?
Oh wow.
Now, yeah, try to is the key word. So I called them twice. They were open certain hours, but so I called them 2 different times, but they didn't give me all the details. They told me what time they were open. You don't need an appointment, blah, blah, blah. Man, I go there. I put on my mask. I go in there. First thing the guy says to me, you got to take off your mask. I say, wait, what? He's like, well, because we're a place where people carry guns, we can't have people wearing masks in here. So I'm uncomfortable already, right? Now he
Oh, hold on.
says,
So you're more afraid of the coronavirus than people with guns? At that instance, you was.
yeah,
That's
instance, yeah.
crazy, right?
I
That's
was,
crazy, right?
it's how our mindset has changed. I agree with that
Yeah.
100% and whatnot. So I'm uncomfortable right away. But you know, I'm hesitant, but I still ask questions and whatnot. So I say, well, you know, how is it? I mean, can you shoot here? Are you spacing people out? He says, you got your own gun? I said, no. He says, honestly, we're not renting guns anymore because in order to clean the guns and whatnot constantly, it would take off the shine from the guns. So if you
Wow.
constantly got to clean it with bleach and stuff like that, like, because you would have to do it after every person.
Right.
Guns don't get cleaned that often. So he said, we no longer rent the guns. You have to bring your own gun. You can shoot, but you have to have your own gun. So I don't have a gun or nothing like that. And I was already
He didn't try to
uncomfortable.
sell. He didn't try to sell you a gun.
Uh, he didn't, but at that point I was like, all right, I kind of walked out. I felt so uncomfortable with
Yeah.
all of it. I walked out. So I might have been in there less than less than 3 minutes, and there was nobody around me when I was there. But so that's the flip side. Like something like that, you can't wear a mask in there. No one can, and you got to
Wow.
have your own gun. So you know everything's different. So I actually went to the park that day. You know what I'm saying? Which was, you know, always social distancing at the park. So it was cool. So I've been a couple places, you know, here and there, but the places I've been to, I have felt more comfortable, but
Yeah.
mostly because the numbers in our area, you know, are not as what they used to
Right.
be.
But we still are gonna acknowledge that it only takes one person, even in a comfortable situation, to give you that you could contract the coronavirus from. So, you know.
Definitely, but I think something Josh and our other show is about strategic stuff and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I
Strategic
do
planning.
agree.
Yeah.
I do agree with one thing our president said way back in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
If people just don't go anywhere and sit in their house for months and months and months and months, you will see more people going kind of stir crazy and whatnot.
I agree.
So I think that's where that strategic planning kind of comes in. As I was saying, I will do when it comes to the movie theaters if they do ever open. You know, knock on wood.
I agree.
About that. And moving forward, tell me about the Microsoft Project X gaming coming out soon.
Yeah. So, guys, we touch a lot of stuff. I don't know how many of people who watch us are gamers. But because nobody really comments on the gaming news when I bring it up. But I still want to touch it because I feel like Mike and I, between both of us, we cover many different areas. So one thing happened this week that was really cool for me was Microsoft has gotten to the cloud streaming area with gaming. And they for months now, they have what's called Project X Cloud, but they announced the details of Project X Cloud when it come out of being a beta. And that's pretty cool. So to explain cloud gaming, if you're not into it, usually you'll buy a system, video game system, and you'll buy the game right on a disc. You insert it and you play. Some people buy a video game system and they buy the game digitally. They download it and they play. Well, now you don't have to buy a system. You could just download the game itself. So you skip paying all this money for a system and just download the game itself. You stream the game, not download. You stream the game to whether it's I don't know, a Fire Stick, whether it's you just have something that has to have built-in streaming or a browser. So anyway, Microsoft thing is you have to.
Well, not to cut you off for a second, but then we watched a video of a cop who was playing like while he was on duty, which was crazy.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. He was sitting in his car playing Call of Duty, and I don't know what he was playing it on. I couldn't tell what he was playing it on. I'm assuming maybe his phone or maybe a laptop or something. But the screen looked big though from the video.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it did. But he had a controller, so it was pretty dope. Right?
So right now, I could take my phone and I could actually pull up Microsoft Project X Cloud, and I could actually pull up a controller, and I could go online, even though this is a PlayStation controller. I think my Xbox controller is over there somewhere, but you get the illustration. So what happened is a Microsoft Project X Cloud allow you to play either on your phone or either on a laptop, right? So those two things. So imagine if you're able to go somewhere and you're able to just pull out your phone on vacation. You don't want to take your whole system, and the games you already purchased. So hear me out. You already purchased these games and you already was playing them on your console at home. Then you're able to actually play them on the road going somewhere. So Project X Cloud have like a library of games that's already available, and you could choose whatever game you want and play it through the cloud. Also, what's interesting is they announced that Project X Cloud will be wrapped into Game Pass, and Game Pass is one of the coolest things that came out in the last few years with gaming. So Game Pass is literally like Netflix of gaming. So if you have a Xbox account, you can actually pay for Game Pass, which include Xbox Gold. So now you get games every month. Now you're able to play a bunch of games and every month they add new games, and now you're able to play them over the cloud wherever you go. So I just think that's brilliant. I personally like all cloud-based services. I'm personally more into Google Stadia, but this trumps Google Stadia because, you know, the fact that it's $14.99 and you got all this other stuff mixed is pretty cool. But Stadia plays smoother and you're able to play it on more devices. But yeah, I just want to throw that out there. So if some gamers are watching, just want to wrap it up and let you know the news of gaming right now. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and as you were talking, I reached out to Chris again about that you and him doing that gaming show. So I'll let you know what his response is
let me know.
About that. And
guys,
what we have next, Tony?
Well, let me just say this, guys. If you're interested and give us some feedback, I want to, on our channel, have an all gaming show. I think that would be pretty cool. So if there's any gamers, that would be pretty cool, even if they came on as guests. But I would like to have a panel. So I would like to do it with other gamers. You know, we do maybe a weekly or 2 weeks thing or something like that. So.
Gotcha. And all right, so next, this topic actually sprung from our group chat, I want to say.
Right.
Where there's Clo Diz, shouts out to Clo Diz, who was showing us the old WWF, I'm gonna say F because they're old, but the ice cream sandwiches bars, which been out since the 80s, right? Those ice cream sandwiches bars.
Right.
And I love those, by the way. When the ice cream man came around, I used to love those things, by the way. But anyway, one now WWE ice cream bars had John Cena on it,
right?
And she said to Tony she didn't know who he was.
Right.
It turns out she does, but only from his movies and
right.
whatnot. So it sprung a question that we're going to ask, and we're going to say, let's rank the biggest household names from wrestling. As you know, Tony's a huge wrestling fan. I'm a huge wrestling historian, not a fan now, but rank the biggest household names between Hogan, Austin, Stone Cold Steve Austin, people don't know, The Rock, and John Cena.
Okay,
So
so
you want to go first?
what I want to do is put out there first. First of all, what you said, because I'm not letting you get away from this. You was like,
Sure.
who was the bigger household name? You said Hogan, The Rock, or John Cena. And because we kept going back and
Right.
forth about John Cena, and then she was like, I'm just joking. I know who he is, but not from wrestling. Fine. So I say, because Mike's always saying he's a bigger wrestling fan. I don't know if that's the word, or I think you're trying to say historian, which gets you out of, because I always counter him and say, dude, you don't watch wrestling now, so I already win. But saying historian is pretty cool because you're putting yourself in your own category, which I'm probably know more about wrestling than you too. But anyway, I said, how are you the wrestling guy and you're trying to see which one of those guys was the biggest name, and you left out Stone Cold Steve Austin? I would like to say Steve Austin in his day, his popularity, Hogan's longevity gives him credit. How do I say this? I guess, okay. So I'm gonna go into my answer. So we changed it from what Mike originally said to what he just said is ranking.
Well, hold on. Before you say that, I only left out Austin because we weren't talking about him in that chat. That's why I left out Austin.
I mean, we was only talking about John Cena.
So no, we talked about what we had the Rock and Hogan in those conversations.
No, you brought
them up,
but you left out Hogan. So I'm like, did you forget? I mean, you left out Austin. Like, did you forget? So when you brought the question, you brought the question leaving him out, and I'm like, wait, what? Anyway, but I think I still have to give credit to Hulk Hogan, his longevity, and when he was out and popular, when he was in his limelight, man, everybody knew him. Your grandma, young people, old people. But I also say back then it wasn't as much like social media. It wasn't as many different things to dilute wrestling. So wrestling was a strong force, whereas now you have you got fans of the UFC. UFC wasn't a thing, right? In Hogan's day, you got but Hogan will have to be number one. I still think Austin is more popular than The Rock. The Rock is super popular, but I feel like Austin's impact was greater than The Rock's. And then I have a hard time putting The Rock and John Cena because if you stayed a fan, John Cena, man, I'm gonna have to put The Rock over John Cena, especially because of the Make-A-Wish Foundation. If you're familiar with that, no one has more his Make-A-Wish contributions, like more than double, quadruple anybody ever, and it's amazing. The people, the kids with cancer, John Cena name is massive outside of the WWE for very positive things. But if you didn't follow wrestling, it wouldn't lead you into the direction to find that out. And I can't escape him and the Make-A-Wish Foundation and all the other things he do connected to wrestling, but outside of wrestling. And The Rock was super popular for wrestling, but I feel like, again, like Chloe knowing John Cena for acting, but not even for wrestling. Like, how do you not know John Cena for wrestling? So that alone, I gotta give you credit if you heard of John Cena, but it wasn't for wrestling. You know what I mean? Now that could happen with The Rock.
So what's your order now? I just want to make sure I'm clear.
Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold Steve Austin, John Cena, and The Rock.
Okay. All right. Well, so I want to say a couple of things. Number one, so this is just based off of the question, who was the bigger household name? Right. And again, it was to me when they were wrestling, because once you start going outside of wrestling, that brings in so many different different avenues. However, this is not my Mount Rushmore of wrestlers, by the way. This is just about this particular topic and whatnot. My Mount Rushmore of wrestling is actually almost the same, but I would replace Cena with Ric Flair, honestly. So on that situation. Now, for this topic, I definitely would go Hogan. As I said, like in the chat, Hogan was a whole different animal of popularity. I felt like, especially in that whole late '80s, early '90s, like you were talking about, like like anybody who he was synonymous with wrestling in general. So it was like if you knew anybody, you knew Hulk Hogan or whatever. Like,
yep.
You know what I mean? So I think that was it. I also think because I want to go into the reasons why. I think it was also because of the time frame, like you said, when it was just getting popular. He was kind of like Michael Jordan for basketball. Like
Definitely.
he was getting popular when it was getting popular at the same time. And I also think if you think about his marketing, he was his whole song, "I Want to Be American." He was like the great American hero, Hulk Hogan, and they had him fight people like the Iron Sheik and Andre the Giant,
Yep.
like
And when he
people
made
who were
Sergeant
from
Slaughter turn to a bad guy.
yeah.
Yeah.
And he was fighting a lot of people, especially the Iron Sheik. He fought Iron Sheik during the war against Iran. So it's almost like the U.S. fighting against Iran in the wrestling ring. So it was great marketing by Vince and whatever like that. But I think that's why he became, as popular as he did. To me, the second one is a toss-up, honestly, between Rock and Austin.
Right.
But I think it's like at its what do I always say? At its what's the word I use for the dating one? At its not climax.
At his core?
Anyway. No. At your
oh, your
what's
apex.
the one
Your apex.
Apex.
Your apex.
Yes, thank you. You're a fan, right?
Damn, bro.
Yeah. At both of their apex, like the very, very height,
Right.
I still would go Austin over Rock or whatever, even though the Rock was right there, which means I'm definitely going third for the Rock, man.
Right.
See, I think with the Rock, I think that what the Rock did was he turned people into wrestling fans, especially females, I want to say. I think out of all of them, he's the one who had females saying, I want to watch wrestling and see The Rock,
Right.
kind of deal and whatnot. I mean, like during the time he was wrestling, not even outside of wrestling and whatnot.
Right.
I think if you look at him and stuff like that, he's the one that came out with the silk shirts and the dress pants and always like super clean and sunshades and whatnot. I think that cool factor, I don't think the rest of them had the same cool factor as he did to turn female fans and stuff like that. And then and it's crazy because I'm gonna go with Cena fourth, but that's not no slight on Cena. There's been so many wrestlers, and Cena's popularity was huge.
But his longevity of popularity, do you realize, right?
Well, that's why I said the apex, right?
Yes.
So I always go with at the very, very height. I don't think at his very, very height, his was at the Rock's at his very, very height. So that's why I would say, that's what I'm judging it by. I would say. I don't think his longevity was good, but I think there was ups and downs, ebbs and flows. I think that and I think part of it, honestly, and where him and Hogan kind of are the same, is they both have probably the least wrestling ability on this list and whatnot. Because you remember the chance of Cena being out there from the crowd, you can't wrestle, that was happening like all the time and stuff like that. So I felt like,
to be fair, which is funny, in Austin's apex, he could wrestle the least out of all of them. So to be fair, Austin's character was just to stomp you. I mean, literally, he did like a few moves. I remember he had a beef with Chris Benoit, and Chris Benoit was like, this ain't gonna be no arm drags. No, like Chris Benoit literally brought himself down to Austin's level. Like Austin did a suplex, stomp you in the corner, middle finger, kick you in the stomach, stun you.
You know what I'm gonna say? I mean, as far as actual moves, I might agree with you, but I think he was a better worker, like put on a better match than Cena did. And I think because by the time Austin got to his apex, he was very polished or whatever. Remember, he was stunning Steve Austin back in WCW. He was a ringmaster in WWE at first and stuff like that. And then he switched. So I think and I don't know what I mean by that, but just like working a match and playing the angles, I think he was a better worker.
Which is, you have to tell the people, to be fair. Bro, how long was you watching John Cena? Let's be fair. You probably didn't even see John Cena in his apex. Let's be fair.
I did. No, I did. I
You
think
know
I
how
stopped.
long John Cena's been wrestling? Like John Cena wrestling has dwarfed Stone Cold and The Rock. Like Stone Cold.
No, not wrestling. No, Stone Cold went out in the 80s, bro.
No. I'm talking about. Listen, nobody. Listen, bro. Unless you're like 50 something. Stunning Steve Austin was not popular to you and me. Let's be fair. Yeah, we can all Google and watch a match of his if it's even on YouTube because back then.
I mean, he was a television champion in WCW. Like he held titles. He also was a tag team champion with Brian Pillman. They were the Hollywood Blondes. Again, wrestling historian, bro. Whatnot. So,
bro, I watched it back then too. My brother favorite wrestler at the time was Flying Brian Pillman. I was not into no Stunning Steve Austin at all. Like I was not like here's why I give Stone Cold he's so important to me. I left WWE and was only watching WCW, and I'm sure we talked about this before, so I keep it short. Yeah. You guys might have heard this story. And I remember somebody saying like, "Yo, you gotta come back to WWE. It's this new dude, this white bald-headed dude. He be cursing." I'm like, "Bro, ain't nobody cursing like you saying." No, I'm telling you, get in the ring and start stomping on people. He's breaking the rules. I'm like, he's stunning. He's doing a special on women. I'm like, bro, that don't happen in wrestling. He was like, I'm telling you, you just got to watch. So one day I decide, let me take a break on WCW or whatever. Let me check out this, whatever this guy name is, Steve. I don't know his name. And what I seen, I was like, his personality, what he's doing. But again, he wasn't wrestling like, dude, I could count Stone Cold moves, like the 5 of them. Like now, and then Stone Cold was bougie. Stone Cold literally, I don't know if you know this, but he literally, and he's my favorite guy, but he quit wrestling because they wanted Brock Lesnar to beat him. So he was like, no, I'm not losing to Brock Lesnar. I'm out.
I know. Yeah, I know. And and it took JR to like write him a postcard and finally get him to come back. I remember that. He got fined.
But he didn't come back for years, though. He didn't just come right back. He was gone for a couple of years.
Yeah, and he actually got fined by Vince for that. But yeah, no, I agree. And you know, and you're right. He didn't want to fight Hogan. The Rock versus Hogan wasn't supposed to be a match. Right. The Icon versus Icon, which is another reason why I put Stone Cold over Rock. It was supposed to be Hogan versus Stone Cold. Stone Cold refused to do it, actually. So you're right. He was definitely bougie. But back to Cena, I just felt like at their apex, Cena still had people like, yeah, I don't like dude. He can't wrestle with his purple and green and yellow shirts. Well, I feel like when Stone Cold was at his top, everybody liked Stone Cold.
But here's the thing. Stone Cold is called an anti-hero. So we're going to get into wrestling, all right, since we're going there. Right. Stone Cold is considered an anti-hero. Anti-hero is like, you're not a bad guy, you're not a good guy. Cena, what Cena issue was, once he stopped doing the basic thugonomics, I don't know if you know this, but once he stopped wearing the chain and having the spinner belt, he became the Hulk Hogan type wrestler, the super good guy, squeaky clean. Only the kids loved him, and so adults was like, oh, the same thing happened to Hogan. Hogan started getting booed. I don't know if you remember that. Hogan started getting booed, and that's why he became Hollywood Hogan. Then people loved him because as you get older, a bad guy is kind of, you connect more, the rule breaking. That was Stone Cold's whole character as Stone Cold Steve Austin. You know, even when he turned bad, a very short period of time, like, you know, he was he turned bad, like people still was like, he's still Stone Cold, he's still doing what he was doing. So Cena got the hate because Cena was the goody two-shoe. Matter of fact, a couple months ago or last year, Cena came out because he's wrestling, in Hollywood now. He came out and they had a thing where he dressed up as the basic thugonomics, and everybody went crazy. Like, please, Cena beats that Cena again. Fans went crazy, but he was just doing it. He was like, he doesn't plan on wrestling again at this time, but he did it as a tribute to fans. So what I'm saying is, I get what you're saying, but you look up merchandise, bro. Look up merchandise sales. You let me know if The Rock or Austin sold more than John Cena. It's crazy. See, but you wasn't watching it, and you wasn't watching it when Cena was considered the Hulk Hogan of wrestling. So it's unfair. But I get that's why he's down on your list. But Cena did cross that, dude. There was no Hulk Hogan. There was imagine wrestling. Hear me out.
Hold on. I don't. But listen, I'll let you go. I mean, 1 second. If we go back to the topic, the name of the topic, it was about household name.
In their day, and you put Apex on it.
Yeah. Well, forget the Apex part for now. But let's stick with household name in their day. All right. I don't think I could have walked, you know, into my mom's house and she'd have been like, my mom would have been like, who the hell is John Cena? Like my mom knew who The Rock was in his day. Like and she's not the only example, but I'm just saying, I think, and I go back to my point, I think The Rock, even without the movies, I think he brought people in only because of his look,
Right.
From a female perspective. And I think, and he was one of those kind of like anti-heroes too, a little bit, or a little bit, where Cena was. And I think that like sometimes like back and forth or whatever like that. Right. He had times as baby face bad guy, but then sometimes in the middle. But but I think that Cena, as big as he got, never got into every household like the rest of those guys did.
I just think again, I'm just, this is my perspective, so I'm not putting words in your mouth, but I think your opinion of him is jaded because you wasn't watching it in his apex.
Okay.
Because because me watching it, so I literally watched Hogan, Austin, The Rock, and Cena, and I'm still watching wrestling, and Cena don't wrestle. So me, it's like when my daughter, she tried to tell me, so I said, whoa, first of all, I give you credit, you're a kid, but guess what? I was a kid too, and I'm a parent.
But to be fair, you did say you missed a couple of years of the Attitude Era where The Rock and Austin were at part of the apex.
Well, no, that's when The Undertaker was like at his apex. Like remember, Stone Cold really didn't wrestle that long. I jumped in it when Stone Cold turned to stunning. When he turned into Stone Cold, I missed the beginning when he was in the King of the Ring, and when he was at the King of the Ring is when it all started. I missed that, but I watched Stone Cold's whole thing. I missed The Rock when he was Rocky Maivia, and he was whack then, and when he was in Nation Domination, which gave him his start. I missed like big stuff that The Undertaker did. I pretty much seen The Rock and Austin's career, but The Undertaker, I missed out on some good stuff for him. So I'm saying I did. Now, if you throw The Undertaker in there, then I might be like, okay, well, how you say about how I'm trying to say like you didn't see all of John Cena. Well, yeah, I didn't see all of Undertaker. There was a lot of Undertaker where I was like, dude, it sounded like he did some pretty cool stuff, and I kind of missed it.
He did. Yeah, he did. I mean, actually, I see what you're saying. I mean, it's no right or wrong answer.
No, yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's all preference. But what I will say, like, before we switch, is the reason why I think John Cena did a big deal in his day is because just imagine, right? Hear me out. When we talk about how popular Hogan was so popular because when he was Hogan, he didn't have a Rock and an Austin, right? Hogan was just that king of wrestling. So when you thought of wrestling, you thought of him, right? So imagine later on when The Rock and Austin came into play, they still had The Rock and Austin and The Undertaker. Their era was so great. And they had Shawn Michaels and they had Triple H. They was on top, but they easily had some other people to rival. Yo, John Cena had such a great stretch with just no Rock, no Austin, where John Cena got to just reign as you just knew if you watch. Like other wrestlers hate him because they say, oh, John Cena always bury you. I don't want to match with John Cena because he's the top guy and they're going to always make me lose. Look at win-loss ratio. It's like, what, John Cena? Like John Cena became a Hulk Hogan because he like never would lose. Look up how many people submitted John Cena. It's crazy. Barely anybody.
I agree. I agree. I said they're a big correlation, but I just don't think, and it could have been, it could be a lot, bro. Right. It could be at that time, people were doing different things in life. You got social media, you got more things to do. I just don't think in John Cena's apex, he was able to cross over as much as them to me. And with The Rock, man, he was one of the only persons, and still to this day, he can do it. We can go out to the ring. I mean, he's the best on the mic out of all four of these people or whatever. That's number one. But who can go out to the ring and say nothing for 5 minutes and the crowd still cheering him or whatever. Like, that's super impressive, bro. And literally just look and put his nose in the air. And it's like no words or whatever. Like, that's like to me, like you know what I'm talking about. And that's like to me, like a Michael Jackson effect almost. Right. And he still didn't become as big as Hogan. But to be fair,
the only problem to be fair is that's part of his. So what makes a wrestler popular is their stick or their gimmick, right? So Austin would never come in the ring and say nothing. Austin's gonna come in the ring. If Austin came in the ring, put a middle finger, went like that, like you're like, oh, Rock thing was to come out and go, he don't say nothing. He go, that's his thing. So that's unfair because that's part of the Rock's gimmick. We're not saying the Rock just is a regular guy, come back and everybody go screaming. No, he's gonna play into his gimmick. The millions and everybody go crazy. That's part of his gimmick. Hogan's not gonna come out and say nothing and people go crazy forever. He's gonna be like, well, let me tell you something, brother. And they're gonna go crazy.
I know.
What you gonna do? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but can any of the, okay, I get what you're saying, but can any of those guys be able to pull that off like The Rock?
That's not no, because that's not what they do. That's not fair. Can The Rock go do it more Make-A-Wish Foundation than John Cena? No. So we could do that.
What?
No, because you're saying because The Rock would go out there and his eyebrow, like The Rock had long pauses. That was his thing. Yeah. Like, remember, The Rock's gimmick was the millions and millions. So his gimmick, he was the people champion. So his whole gimmick is like Daniel Bryan. Or put Daniel Bryan in there. He'll rival The Rock because Daniel Bryan's gimmick was the people. Yes. You have people in basketball who don't watch wrestling. The whole audience going, yeah. And you know this because you're a basketball fan. Like what Daniel Bryan did outside
I don't think
the ring.
Daniel Bryan, to me, not even close to like household. When I say household, I mean really like non-wrestling
I got
fans.
You, but you're now you're talking about gimmicks. We gotta be fair. You're using someone's gimmick. Yeah, I mean that's the Rock's gimmick. That's what he do, you know, and it's amazing. That's why Daniel Bryan people went crazy because it was like, yo, nobody but The Rock could do what Daniel Bryan was doing. Like people chant for Stone Cold, but his gimmick isn't for you to go on and on forever. The Rock's gimmick is he pulled a crowd in and he could sit back and let the crowd just go crazy because I agree. You know, he included the crowd in his gimmick, which is brilliant.
I agree. I mean, like I said, I don't think it's a right or wrong answer. But if we ever, because me and my friends have did this before, if we took a non-wrestling fan or wrestling fan, either way, poll, I would love to see the percentages that would come out.
And hear me out, right? You have to have the ages. If you get all your friends your age, obviously be The Rock. If you get general, bro, it's so many. You listen. You know how many kids? Because The Rock been going for how long, bro? It's millions of kids that be like The Rock. Okay, might be in Fast and Furious, but they're like John Cena wearing a little. I'm telling you, yo, it's crazy.
Yeah, it kind of be a hard poll to do because you the ages, people to think and stuff like that, whatever. But I see what you're saying. I do. I truly. Like I said,
I do agree with you, but I also give Cena his credit because I know what he has done. When we had the big people was gone, he was the big guy. So people who start watching wrestling don't realize, dude, John Cena was the Hulk Hogan. But
you know what's crazy? John Cena also turned people off of wrestling.
Yeah, older people who was kind of out of it. If you would just listen, if you didn't follow it and follow John Cena, basic thugonomics, all right, back up, ruthless aggression, slapping Kurt Angle, getting spinner belts. If you didn't follow that and see his transition, then yes. If you watch Stone Cold and The Rock and seen who the hell is John Cena, nowhere can his if you was watching Stone Cold and The Rock, you're an adult now. So there's no kids. You know, you're an adult now. Right. So again, Attitude Era, people call it the best era because it was cursing. It was John Cena ain't cursing. John Cena is not doing nothing that we consider popular. But as a wrestling fan throughout, I see what he did for the industry. He became the Hulk Hogan. He became the guy. If you had a really good match with John Cena, you got praised for it. Like I remember Cesaro.
I will say he definitely was the one. Him, a couple others, you know, here and there, during his reign. But I will say that he definitely helped carry the company after the Stone Colds and the Rocks and stuff like that left and whatnot. So I will definitely say that, you know, 100%. But I don't think the John Cena after the one we talk about now. Yeah. I don't think he would have been able to be in Attitude Era at all.
No, not at all. He would have been so whack.
Yeah, he would have been pulled out of the Attitude Era. But also, it's funny because Triple H, I don't even know why, but his name rings bells, even though he's not, you know, on this level. But as far as like regular people,
you're right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? if you mention Triple H, it's like they know him from wrestling or whatnot.
Right, that's true.
So
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
he's
yeah.
got
For
like
some
another
reason, he
whole.
didn't. It's weird that he didn't reach that thing. And remember, I did 3 hours of research, kind of find out he has the most impressive list of, and you guessed it from your first guess. But Triple H has the most impressive list of wins out of Rock, Austin, Hogan, Cena, you name it. He has beaten. He beat everybody I just mentioned.
Yeah.
But his name doesn't get put up there, you know. I think, and again, I think you know why?
And Sting, he beat,
And you know why? It's because of gimmick. Because the Rock gimmick, dude, he's so charismatic. Women love him. Dude, if you wanted to be his boy, if you was a girl, you liked him. Stone Cold's gimmick, he was against. You want to go to work sometimes and slap the hell out your boss, right? Hogan gimmick when you was younger, he's America, like come on, he But Cena's gimmick as you're getting older, it's like, dude, he's kind of whack, you know what I mean? Triple H gimmick wasn't the same. He wasn't a great talker, he didn't have that charisma that these other people had.
No, even though he won just all as many titles or whatever, but he didn't have that charisma.
He didn't,
same thing. Now, The Rock that came back to wrestle and won, the title again and all that stuff like that. Now, that Rock, huh?
Yeah, he got the Universal Championship when he came back.
Yeah. Now, that Rock, I don't think he would transcend as much because he was just like, the more muscly, tough guy, cut off shirt Rock. I don't think he would have transcended the women like he was when he had the silk shirts and the dress pants and being all smooth and stuff.
He was like just oozing, like, dude, nothing like come on, put his face down, the eyebrow go up, every girl just wanted to fall dead.
Yeah. And remember, he became to the ring with a watch on, like all type of stuff and stuff like that. So I think it was a little bit different. Yeah, and all that stuff. But anyway, so the Segway King is back with a perfect segue. So what would you choose and whatnot? Nice. So this is a perfect thing for us because we both have wrestling ties and we both love movies, as we stated with our movie review.
Yep.
So if you had to get rid of one, would you get rid of The Rock, the wrestler, or Rock, the actor?
Not for nothing. Man, his wrestling, what he did in wrestling, just landslides what he did in film.
Hold on, let me set this up. So that means you're getting rid of him in Fast and Furious, Hobbs and Shaw, all the movies he's done and whatnot.
I don't think
what did you just watch?
I don't think what he put into Fast and Furious made Fast and Furious. I still look. Vin Diesel
all of them?
Go ahead.
And all of them, though, I think because remember he's been in like 4 or 5 of them now. I think his characters got bigger and bigger, over time. But you're also getting rid of him in what's the one? Jumanji, the first one. It's all the movies that he's done that's made, millions and millions of dollars.
Rock don't have one movie that is an amazing movie, not one, on his own. Fast and Furious, the one where they was in Rio de Janeiro and they was dragging the safe and the ball.
Oh man, that was the best one. Who else could play that role?
They definitely could have got somebody else to play that role.
All right.
Yeah. So I feel like what he did in the ring, like all you talking about with the watches and the shirts and the women going, dude, his character, if I went to another alternate universe and I was a wrestling fan, I had to start watching wrestling over, and in that alternate universe, everybody was there but The Rock. I don't know. Like, The Rock was such a big deal in wrestling. You can't have WWE and erase The Rock from it. You can't have the Attitude Era, and there was no Rock in the Attitude Era. Like his career. So I'm a bigger fan of Stone Cold, but Stone Cold cannot do some of the stuff The Rock did. Like you said, he was the best talker. Like, yeah, I couldn't lose that. And like I said, there's not one movie of The Rock.
So I'm looking San Andreas, Rampage, Central Intelligence, Baywatch. I'm just looking at his movies. Skyscraper, of course. What you don't like none of the movies at all?
No, I did, but none of the movies like, Joe, did you see that? You ain't talking about did you see any of The Rock? Not one. What
G.I. Joe.
race to Witch Mountain?
I mean, yeah, I want to say that Gridiron Gang. I mean, he's been in like a lot of movies. I didn't even
He
realize that.
have,
Whatever.
but
He's
none of
about to
those.
do Black Adam soon. But anyway,
Maybe
so
Black Adam. So Black Adam's. I don't know if you know much about the Black Adam character, but maybe Black Adam because he's gonna be technically a bad guy, right?
right,
So maybe he's gonna because with his charisma, he might he might just steal the show with that character because the way comic books are now is we like comedy and we like the seriousness, and Rock could give you both. And then if you put him, the only problem is Black Adam isn't a popular character, so that's the only bad thing. He's gonna
right,
have to like let people know who that character is. But
right.
as a
But
movie,
if you
no.
but you're saying of his, I think it's like 20 plus more movies now. Probably you would take away the 20 movies to keep him as a wrestler. Is the
There
question.
is not one movie The Rock started in that I want to watch right now. Like, oh, I can't wait to watch that. My favorite Fast and Furious is actually Part 6. I think that's the one after the one you liked. The one
Yeah,
with the last one with Paul Walker. I feel like it was so
yeah.
much going on. They had what's the martial arts
No,
dude?
7.
Was it
You're talking
7?
about Paul Walker. Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
Tony Jaa.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
Tony
was in there.
Jaa, like that for me was like
That one's amazing too. Yeah, yeah. That's
yeah, the stunts when they drove from the building to the building. Yeah, that was my apex for me, or my favorite. Sorry, not apex. That was my favorite. But yeah, no, there's not one Rock movie that I would say, oh man, I will watch that right now. No.
okay. Gotcha. All right. Well, that was an
So,
easy one for you, I guess.
yeah, it
Well,
definitely.
not.
But you,
Yeah, as a wrestling fan, for you, I would say, huh? For me, it's a little tougher,
okay?
honestly, because I don't think you can just get anybody to play, because you need somebody who can really, especially in the first one he was in, can really combat Vin Diesel. You know what I mean? And I think he also had instilled some fear within the team because of who he was and how he was and stuff. I think some of the movies like San Andreas and Rampage, I think they were just perfect roles for him
Are you
and whatnot.
serious
I
right
don't
now? Rampage was based off of a video game, dude. They could have
right, but I
made.
think it was a perfect role for him. I think, you know what I mean. I don't think anybody can do everything, bro. I just don't think
Not
that. You
everything,
think
but
that?
anybody could have played his role in San Andreas. Like that was just a natural disaster movie. Like, are you serious?
I mean,
I feel
yes,
like he
anybody can
wasn't
play
even
his
the right
role.
person. I feel like he wasn't even the right person for that role. I feel like he's the muscle guy, real physical. He was just. It was like 2012 with The Rock in it. You didn't have to.
You know what? Yeah, San Andreas, I'll give you. Yeah, he probably the
Yeah.
guy for that role or whatever. But and then I look at his movies with Kevin Hart. Like, did anybody have that same type of rapport with Kevin Hart? And that, like, Central Intelligence and Jumanji and stuff like that. I don't know and stuff like that. So that's kind of a little bit there. But again, I said earlier, The Rock, the wrestler. If I had to get rid of one, I would take away The Rock, the actor and whatnot. The Rock, the wrestler is a whole
Now here's
different
the
thing to me.
question: are you getting rid of every? No. You won't get rid of all those films that he was in. Well, the ones that he was the you will pull them out. Like Fast and Furious would still go on. It's just somebody
Yes,
else would have
yes,
played his part.
yes,
Okay,
yes.
gotcha.
He would have never played any role at all and whatnot,
Gotcha.
and just being a wrestler. If I had to
Okay.
pick one,
Yeah, and I'm a
and I would
selfish
definitely.
guy, bro. If I could have kept The Rock to wrestling, oh no, I want The Rock. Dude, if The Rock never left, just imagine all the different matches. Imagine how he could have helped wrestling get better. You probably would have kept watching wrestling.
He probably would have been the best of all time. He never left, honestly. He was
Yeah.
already like
It would
at
have
a
probably been
high
like
level then.
undisputed.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I do think that, and whatnot. But yeah, so I definitely would if I can get, I can take anybody like you said in all these movies. Not anybody, but I do think I would rather have The Rock, the wrestler. I thought it was a good topic because it is two different. At this point, it really is two different careers right now.
Oh yeah, 100%. And what he has done, no other wrestler has done in acting.
Now, on the flip side, I'll throw this into you. Uh, John Cena, the actor, which Chloe was talking about, I feel like his comedic chops are really, really good. And I feel like he can have a long career where, and not yet, but I might want to pick a John Cena the actor with John Cena the wrestler at some
Right.
point and whatnot.
Yeah, and again, that's just you not watching wrestling now. So, but now I also wouldn't get rid of John Cena because again, John Cena became the Hulk Hogan of wrestling when you wasn't watching it. So I feel like, yo, how am I gonna watch wrestling without John Cena? Who's taking his place?
Anyway,
think about it though.
Yeah,
I mean, Randy Orton. So Cena came up and Randy Orton came up like this, right? So Cena was always a little bit above Randy Orton. So I guess if there was no Cena, there would have been Randy Orton just running things.
But Randy couldn't have been as bad as him. And also, I think if just to throw that out there, because we're still on wrestling right now, if Edge never retired, he would have had way more titles than Cena ever had or whatnot. He never had to retire.
Listen,
he left for 10 years. And I didn't realize he was already like a 10-time champion. And he left 10 years ago.
As a wrestling fan,
yeah,
Edge was whack. Yo, Edge was a tag team guy by heart. When he became solo, him and Randy Orton with the rated RKO, that was cool. But
so I was watching a video the other day. Hold on, I was watching a video the other day, and they were just calculating who has the most overall titles when you add tag team and all of it together. And he's been gone for 10 years, and he's at the top of the list. That's crazy to me and whatnot.
Listen.
So I can imagine if he never left.
Listen. Being a tag team guy, he was stuck in the tag team realm, right?
But he was heavyweight champion 10 times. More than The Rock, more than Stone Cold.
They wasn't wrestling as long as them. And and The Rock and Stone Cold in their era, they had more competition. They had the Attitude Era had better, more like again, that's why I'm saying you gotta give Cena credit. It wasn't that many people to rival Cena. He just got he was the man, you know what I mean? And then on top of that, with The Rock and Cena and them is unfair, they had like one belt. Remember, WWE ended up I remember Edge one time, one of the coolest things, sad you didn't see this, but you bring it up, and it's to your point. They had what's called Elimination Chamber, right? And they had two in the same night. And Elimination Chamber is my favorite match, actually, because the 6 guys go in. 4 people are locked in these pods. 2 people wrestle in the middle. Every 5 minutes, a pod open and one other person run in. So it's an elimination match. If you get pinned or submit, they open the cage and you got to go. So then they close the cage and you keep all fighting. Every time one person loses, they get sent out. Awesome match, right? Edge, earlier in the night, lost his championship, right? The WWE championship. So later on, Kofi Kingston was supposed to be in that match. Edge wasn't. Edge ran down and beat him up and ran and jumped in and locked himself in the pod and put himself in the match and won that match. So in the same pay-per-view, the next night on Raw, he was like, I turned myself into the from the WWE champion to the World Heavyweight champion. Again, with Stone Cold and them, they had like one belt. So Edge literally was both champions on the same night. That ain't happened back then. Like, I guess you did have a million championships. But again, Edge, look at Edge and look at Cena. Yo, Cena had the physique. Again, Vince, if we talking wrestling, Vince loves the bigger guys. Cena's just built to be that dude. When Edge was super popular, his whole gimmick was the ultimate opportunist. So he was close to Ric Flair, his dirtiest player. I mean, his cheating was on another level. It was crazy. But you look at Edge and think, well, Edge really beat him straight up. But Cena beat people straight up, no cheating. Edge was like super bad and was cheating. His heyday, his apex was him married to Vicky Guerrero, which you probably don't know, which is Eddie Guerrero's wife in real life.
Bro, why do you say it? I know all this stuff. I didn't stop, but you think I stopped. So I probably stopped like 2010, 2011. Anyway,
well,
but I'm just saying that if he didn't have to retire, I'm saying as far as titles is concerned, he would have been, a part of reason why Ric Flair is on a lot of people's Mount Rushmore, including Stone Cold's Mount Rushmore, is because he won the title 16 times. Edge would have probably been past that by now. He never had to retire, honestly. So
I don't know. It's a lot of politics in wrestling. That's the thing. Like, wrestling is more like back then it was popularity. Now it's politics. People win and keep winning because they're like, that's why Brock Lesnar left and came back and had the belt so many times. They let him have the belt for a whole year, lost it, got it again a couple months later for another year. Because Brock Lesnar had the size, it was believable that he could beat all these people. The top guy now is Roman Reigns. They want him to be the new John Cena. Look how crazy it is. They call him the new John Cena when they call John Cena the new Hulk Hogan. They ain't say he's the new Rock They ain't say he's the new Austin. They literally, nobody's saying the new Rock, new Austin. They say the new Hulk Hogan or the new John Cena. That's how serious John Cena is.
They're all three the same. They're all three the same. Guys with limited wrestling ability who they're trying to make popular and whatnot.
Right.
Roman Reigns, The Rock, I mean, not The Rock, Roman Reigns, John Cena.
Yeah, well, no. You can't say Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns considered a hybrid wrestler. He's big. He's doing stuff like The Undertaker. He could run and dive out the rings. You'll never see Cena do that. You'll never see Hogan. Roman Reigns does have more wrestling. Remember, he's a Rock cousin. He does have more ability. Okay. Don't do that. I don't like okay. I like Roman Reigns just as much as you like John Cena. So I gave John Cena's credit because I watched him come up. But Roman is the new guy that they want to push too fast. And I'm like, no, he's just corny to me. He want to be John Cena. So I understand why you don't like John Cena, because the way you look at John Cena, I look at Roman Reigns. I get it, you know?
Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's crazy. But let's not do this to the fans of the show who aren't wrestling fans. Because we're taking too much time.
I'm moving on. I'll school you another day.
No, sound like I schooled you. Listen, if you guys watching it, comment below if you think who schooled who. We'll take it let the people decide.
The historian always wins, bro. But I will say this.
I don't claim to be a historian, but if we're throwing titles around, I'm a bigger historian than you.
All right. Well, you're not older than me, so maybe. But I will say, what would you choose?
Okay.
And I got this from another show. Shouts out to them, but that's a good one. And you especially, because you have kids of different ages and stuff like that. If you were to ever get beat up,
okay,
would you rather get beat up in front of your wife or beat up in front of your kids?
I think I'm gonna choose I'd rather get beat up in front of my wife. And it goes from one of the podcasts you did a while back. You did a podcast, and I want to say it was Josh, was like, dude, this is what happened. No, it was you actually, Petty Pendergrass. A guy had a gun, and his girl took the gun, and the guy got beat up, and his girl didn't do anything. So you were like, bro, she should have helped. And it was like, and Josh was like, what? I was listening, because that's back when y'all guys had just a podcast on audio. And me personally, I feel like I look at women as different, unless you're a UFC fighter. I don't want my woman who's supposed to be softer in nature. I'm weird. I don't like women cursing as much. I don't like women smoking. I want a woman, to me, to be a woman, right? But I don't want my woman getting punched in the face trying to help me. I'd rather her just watch or get away. I could understand that. But what I don't want is my kids watching me get beat up, because I'm supposed to be my son's hero. I'm supposed to be, I don't want my kids watching me get beat up. That's different. I don't want my son like, yo, you better go wash them dishes. You ain't say that when dude was beating you up. But my wife is an adult, and my wife could understand dude had better size or whatever. Kids just look at you like, you're the Superman. You're a superhero. So, yeah. So I'd rather get beat up in front of my wife.
But she might not let you live it down either, though. She might come back.
You ain't big, but then I can say, you ain't help. See, I can throw it in there. A little kid is like,
That's true. That's definitely true.
Yeah, I throw it on her.
Right. That's a good call right there, actually.
Yeah, man.
So just to answer the question,
okay.
It is a little tough though to me and whatnot.
Yeah.
I think part of it is maybe the age of the kids too. I think is part of it and whatnot.
Well, okay, hold on. My 21-year-old son, he better had helped me.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess if you're taking my kid, right? You said my situation because I do have older kids. Because I was thinking my kids being little, but yeah, my son being, I guess I still wouldn't, because I feel like my son is gonna be like, because I did martial arts and stuff, and I taught him some martial arts. He's gonna be like, yo, what happened? So maybe I still want my wife. I'd rather get beat up in front of my wife.
Gotcha. Yeah. I hear you. I think I think my adult kids, they better help, like you said, if I had adult kids, but I don't, so I'm gonna go with my situation.
Okay, gotcha.
In my situation, I would rather go with being beat up in front of, I think my spouse too, or whatever like that.
Okay.
I think because she might try to throw it back in my face, but like I can always say you didn't help and let her know what happened. And the kids might not ever live that down. Is my problem with that. My son's about to be 6, my daughter's 11. She might be telling the story herself in 20 years. Yeah, man, when I was 11, man, my dad got his ass. You know what I'm saying? I don't want that to
Yeah.
happen.
You don't want a kid to have that story. That's not a cool story to tell.
Yeah. And I
But
feel like
I've seen like grown adults. This girl I know, she's beautiful, right? We actually, I didn't go to the club that night, but I heard some dude was like, "Yo, what's up?" She was like, "Yo, get out my face." Yo, he punched her in the face and knocked her out. Right? So there's stories where crazy stuff happened to adults and we just live it on. Listen, we're adults. You're drinking, whatever happens. I could get away with that. But my kids telling a story of their dad being beat up, I don't know.
yeah, and again, if I'm talking like 20 years from now, I don't think my wife gonna like mention it no more. You know what I mean? It'll
Right.
probably be gone by then and whatnot. Out of her even memory if she even thinking about it. But I think 20 years, my kids might still be like, yeah, man, I saw my dad get get knocked out. So I don't think I want that to take place. Or at the other part of the serious side of it, it could be traumatizing for a kid too.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? A smaller kid can give them some nightmares or anything
Right.
because your dad is considered like the hero and whatnot. So I think I would definitely go with with the kids. With the getting beat in front of my spouse for that purpose.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Also,
I
guys,
thought it was a good question.
Guys, also as you're watching this, right, comment below and let us know the answer to all of these what ifs. Or choose it. Sorry, what would you choose?
Oh, there's food for the culture. I was like, I can't find it. I couldn't find our show for some reason and whatnot. Did you find our recent show, Food for the Culture, from last week? Yeah, I couldn't find it either. It's weird. But Josh just sent it to me. All right. And what you got? Book of questions. That's the next.
All right, guys. So let you choose your number between 1 and 217. We're gonna do 2 questions each.
Yeah. So I watched some of your show, and I seen that there were some whack questions on there too.
It was.
As well.
So you're cheating a little bit. I know you won't pick those numbers.
No, I don't remember all the numbers.
Okay.
But because, well, you know what? I do know they were mostly low. So I'm gonna go with 210 actually.
Okay. Nice. Yeah, they're not all winners. But I'm telling you, the one about the cave,
don't have to answer the same question.
I always forget the number for the one about the cave, but it's my favorite one is about the cave. So if we ever get that, you're gonna see me get real excited.
And apparently Sandy don't like them at all, huh?
She doesn't because she's been with me for so long. She's heard them all.
Okay.
And so she feel like, dude, here we go again. But it's an awesome thing. So I think it's so great that I love it. She doesn't like it because she's heard it so many times. But I feel like
I heard it on your show kept like griping about it every time you pulled them out.
Yeah, but when I see people reactions and answer to the questions, it's awesome. So that's why I like it so much. So I could sit through it again because everybody answer is different.
Right. I got it.
All right, so 210. It's a long one. So usually when it's a long one, that means it's going to be a good one, hopefully. All right, so whoops. I was messing around and literally the page changed. All right, 210 says, you are given a chance to return to any previous point in your life and change a decision you made, but you will lose everything that has happened to you since then. Is there a time you would return to? If so, would you like to retain the memory of the life you are giving up, even though you could never return to it?
I think sometimes those type of questions aren't fair, but I guess it's why I have to put questions and whatnot. And I think for a person with kids, it's like I'm never going to give up my kids for any reason. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's a little tough. Now, if you were to just eliminate the kid factor in it, some sort of way, yeah, I would definitely want to retain the memory, and I would go back to when probably I was like 20 years old and made a decision about a job that I took that I shouldn't have took, and kind of set me on a cycle of things happening, bad for me for a while.
Would that job have made you not meet your children's mother?
No, no, but I don't know if the whole domino effect type of deal or whatever like that. So, but I took a job. I took a job in the mortgage industry as a loan officer, and the job was commission only and whatnot. And I had to do commission only, and I worked for about 3 months before I even saw a paycheck. By me doing that, it was a trickle down effect on my bills and my
Oh,
credit at
gotcha.
the time and stuff like that and whatnot. But I was looking at the bigger picture of how much money I could have made, rather than look at, having a steady paycheck coming in, which I did. So definitely I wouldn't have took that particular job at that time and whatnot. So, but if it was, if I got to lose everything, I would never want to lose my kids, like I said. So that's the difference.
That's deep.
Yeah.
Are you guys
Yourself?
strapped in? Are you guys strapped in? Because I'm going to say the super a-hole approach, all right? Get ready. I will go back and would not have married my kid's mom. Now, that would have got rid of my 3 older kids, because I have 4 kids from the same woman that I married. I married a mom when I was 18, and she was only 16. I married her when I was just graduated 11th grade. So I went into high school. I went into 12th grade as a senior with a wife, right? I feel like it was a very bad decision for me to make at an 18-year-old. And I feel like I'm great where I am now today, but I feel like I have great potential. And I feel like my potential, I could have been so much more than where I am today. I'll be honest. I'm not sure what I would have done. But I definitely didn't go to college because I got married. My mindset changed on a lot of things. I'm not sure if I wanted to go to college at the time. I can't remember, but I know I wasn't doing much things because I had a wife. And then I had kids like a year and a half later. I had my first daughter actually when I was 21, so maybe a little more than a year and a half later. So yeah, unfortunately, my kids wouldn't be here. What I would think is I would have still had them, but maybe with somebody different, or maybe even with their mom. Maybe me and their mom would have got married eventually, just not then. I don't know. But I feel like I feel like I stunted my potential, and also put myself down a path where I went through a lot of negative things in my life, and that was all because I got married at a young age. Trying to put marriage on a 18-year-old kid and a 16-year-old kid just was something I would not want to see anybody do. So unfortunately, I would go back in time, and I guess I would have the memories of having kids, like, wow, man. And if I would have never, like, maybe I would have not married a mom and we would have broke up, and my next person I married, I would have been trying to name them my kid's name that I have the memory of, and they would have been like, oh, why you like that name? Like, oh, it's interesting to me. But
So,
yeah.
but just the marriage part, you wouldn't have did. You felt like that affected all your decisions.
I did, yeah. That just getting married. So we got married, then we ended up getting an apartment. Then we just went through. We crammed 2 young people together, and we just was making bad decisions to worse decisions. It just didn't make sense. So
Young and in love. Gotcha.
yeah, man.
All right.
Yeah, seriously.
All right.
A teenage love. Don't hurt me again.
Let's move on to the next one. But
Sure.
questions. My
All right.
turn? Or your turn?
I'm gonna pick. I had the number 68 in my head. Let me just see if that's one I did already, because I don't know why I seen the number 68. Oh, no. Okay. So when has your life dramatically changed as the result of some seamlessly random external influence? How much do you have, or how much do you feel in control of the course of your life? Wow, it's kind of along the same line. So
Yeah, it is.
I mean, me personally, I think I just said it. I got married at a young age, mainly because me and my mom had a fallout when I was 17, and I moved into my grandma's house. And so when I moved in with my grandma, she was okay with me getting married. And I almost feel like, again, we touched this on your show a long time ago. But I feel like I was tricked into marriage. I always was a little mad about that. So,
Right.
yeah,
I'm
so
sorry. It's always funny when I hear it. Go ahead.
it's real. So yeah, that was definitely well, it says seamlessly random external influence. But yeah, I still say that. Like, I'm dating her, all of a sudden they was gonna move, and I don't have a car, I'm 18, and they was like, well, you can marry her and she can move in with you, and I say yes. So yeah, and then it also says, how much do you feel in control of the course of your life? And you know what? I would like to say I'm in control of my life, but look what happened. But again, I was 18. But that happened, and I just end up going with it, right? My grandma allowed me to do it, and there I was.
Right.
So I guess, let me take that back. You're always in control of your life, period. Whether you're just young and inexperienced, but you are still the one making the decisions. So,
Right.
what about you?
Can you read it for me again? It's a
Yes,
lot in
sir.
that question.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a loaded question. So number 68 of the book of questions says, when has your life dramatically changed as the result of some seamlessly random external influence? How much do you feel in control of the course of your life?
But the last part is we're always really in control. You know what I mean?
Yep,
Because
I
we
agree.
have to make the decision no matter what the influence is or not. Um, as far as when it has dramatically changed, it's so funny. It's really the same thing for me. So I had a friend, he's still my friend to this day. We were working at the same job. I was young. I think I might have been not even 20. I think I might have been like 19 or something like that. But I was had a job at a telemarketing company, and we were calling people to refinance their mortgage during the refinance boom. And a friend of mine, he was doing it with me or whatever like that. And he wound up calling this guy who owned a mortgage company, told him to come in for the interview. He wound up getting the job, and he left the job I was with, and he started making great money. So my friend who I used to work with, he continually to call me like, man, you got to come here. It's good money here, blah, 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 this and that. And eventually I got, as a 19-year-old, got enticed by the money, you know what I mean? And decided to quit my job making regular money to go to this job that was commission only. Now, here's the thing. What happened for my friend didn't happen for me.
Right.
His dad fronted him like I think $3,000 to $5,000 somewhere in there, so he can be able to pay his bills and do everything until he got his first paycheck, because it was a commission only job and whatnot. So even though he wasn't making no money, he wasn't also,
Yeah.
not paying himself and whatnot. Well, that didn't happen to me. So by the time I got my first paycheck, I was already 3 months behind. So I was constantly behind at that particular time. And so that's the external influence. He kind of externally influenced me to leave, even though I made a decision on my own at the end. But not even him. Maybe the money influenced me to leave. He was showing me he was making eventually, I think, influenced me. But again, if I wasn't going to leave under the same parameters he did, I would have had less chance to be successful, which ultimately happened at the end of the day. So
wow,
that's what I would say. So
that's deep.
so same.
Literally, yeah. And that's crazy because you was talking about the one job. I was like, oh wait, this ain't the same job, but the story went in. That's how you got to that job. Wow.
Yes, that's how I got to that job. Yeah.
That's deep.
True stories. So so that decision, man, because first of all, I'm a 19-year-old. I'll say all it because it's old. I'm a 19-year-old, and I had just bought like a car, a new car. I had a 300 I had a $400 car payment as a 19-year-old,
right,
and stuff, and I was able to pay it because of the job I had, and I took this job with the commission only and stuff like that. So that really give me my car payments go behind.
oh, man,
It just was a whole trickle down effect, man. If I didn't do that, I would have stayed where I was at and built off of what I had,
right,
rather than go down and have to go back up. So I think that was definitely.
I look at me. I wonder what I could have accomplished if I didn't get married at 18. I'm so curious of what would I have done. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then it's like, so to your point, you got married at 18 and then compounded that by having, 3 kids after that. So
right, yeah.
Which is crazy. So, but we all love our kids though either way. So no matter what happens with that, it still makes happy. But no, those are my answers. So,
That's what's up. All right, give me your last so no, it's me, right?
No, it's me. You just went.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. Give me your last question.
115.
Okay.
We should be writing
115.
these down so we don't use them again in our show. Actually,
I think as I start reading them, it'll be like, oh wait,
Okay, all right, cool.
Maybe we'll see. So given the ability to project yourself into the past, but not return. That's like the same question. What number you said? 115?
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Given the ability to project yourself into the past, but not return, would you do so? Where would you go, and what would you try to accomplish if you knew you might change the course of history?
Let's skip that one. They're all kind of the same now.
Yeah,
Let's go with 110.
that's crazy. We're just randomly picking.
I know.
All right. So 110 said, if you were having difficulty on an important test and could safely cheat by looking at someone else's paper, would you do so?
Yeah, what the hell? Of course. Why wouldn't I? I mean, that's not even a real, I mean, it's one of the easy ones, I guess. But yes, I would definitely just look at the paper and cheat. And if it's safely cheat, it's not even a caveat at all.
Right.
So, I mean, I did it all through high school. I think like this. I don't think that's, what about you?
I'm on the other end. I was the goody two shoes, like I would have felt like morally like I don't like I'm probably the only person I know that didn't cut school. Like when I was in high school, I didn't cut. Like
really?
I think I left early one time because I was talking to this chick and she was like, yo, we all hang out at my friend's house. If you want to come to my friend's house, we can hang out. And I'm like, all right. But my mom, some of you may know, my mom, oh, look, shirt. My mom moved from Jamaica to the United States when she was young. And so she was really strict on us because she felt, I'm not going to leave my country to come here, have kids, and y'all going to, act up. So, like, I mean, I did bad stuff. I'm not saying I didn't. But I guess, I don't know. I guess, yeah, I probably wouldn't do. I was the guy that every cartoon I watched, I loved like the leader. Like, oh, Optimus Prime was my favorite character. Duke was my favorite character. Lionel was my favorite character. But, Leonardo was my favorite character. Like so yeah, I don't know. I probably wouldn't have cheated.
Okay.
I know, funny.
Yeah, and I'm the opposite. Yeah, I would definitely cheat quick, fast, and it's safe. What? Oh man. So all right.
That's why you joined the circle, right?
I did not join the circle. It will not join the circle. What now? Listen, let me be clear. I'm not joining the circle because I don't feel like the risk is worth the reward.
Yes.
I ain't say anything about the legal or illegal part. That's on you. Right. But I'm more about the risk and not reward part. So
listen, I feel like that's everything in life. The risk versus the reward. So like, listen, if you told me I put in $100 in the circle and I got 1,500, I would have, like, I'm just saying, right?
Right. Right. Exactly. So, but anyway, what's your last one? There you go.
All right. So my last one, I'm going to go early. I'm going to pick number 4. I feel like number 4 in my memory is a good one. Oh yeah, this is a good one. If you could spend 1 year in perfect happiness, but afterward remember nothing of the experience, would you do so? If not, why not?
That's an excellent one, actually.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites.
Oh, it's for me? No, it's you. You got to start.
All right. I was like, so here's the dumb part. If you could imagine what perfect happiness would be, you would have it for 1 year, right? So obviously that's cool. But the dumb thing is if you can't remember it, it'd be like, but that year, like, do you give up? Like, if I could imagine, like, okay, if I'm a race, I love cars, but I'm broke and I'll never be able to drive a Lamborghini. But in 1 year, that magical year, I would be able to drive. I would own a Lamborghini. I would own a Ferrari. You know what I'm saying? Like, I almost feel like what's 1 year missing of your life, right? So you come back like, oh man, I can't remember any. All right, here's why I would do it, right? Whenever I look at Facebook, and every day I look at my memories, because I always like to see the dumb choices I made and the stupid stuff I used to say on Facebook. 2015 is gone. And it's always like, wow, what did happen in 2015? 2015, out of every year of my life, the most amount of extreme highs and lows happened in that 1 year. But I didn't know what was going to happen. In the beginning of the year, the old church I was at, we were going to do a fast, 21-day fast. I chose social media, and it went from 21 days. So I decided to not do it for a year. In that year, I got married. I got a list of notes that's called 2015. I got married. My grandma passed away. I got my daughter back in my life that was gone for 9 years. Like I'm telling you, my mom and I became close again. I literally didn't see I didn't spend a Thanksgiving dinner with my mom for 15 years, right? So all this stuff happened, but I realized my life went on. So yeah, I don't have those notes of that stuff happen. I know it happened. Like in memories, like do I got pictures of it? No, that I didn't store anything on social media so I could go back and see, but I know it happened. I guess this is different because you wouldn't have the memory. You would just know that you lived perfect happiness, I guess, is what it comes down to.
Yeah, and that's where I come. Oh, I'm sorry. What's your answer? I guess you would do it.
Yeah, I would do it. I would do it.
See, where I come in at is that, and I think it's like I think it's a question that people ask. Might be philosophers, I think, but if you don't remember it, did it actually happen, right? And that's the thing. So let's eliminate the pictures and videos from the events, stuff like
Right.
that. So let's just say literally, there's no memory of it whatsoever, right? So again, if you don't remember it, did it actually happen?
Yeah, because if you got Alzheimer's disease, you still live that life.
Right, technically, but if you don't remember it at all, then what's
Right.
it? You know what I mean? Like that happiness you never felt. I mean, you
You're
did
right.
feel.
No,
I'm
I
sorry.
agree. You're right. You are right. I mean, yeah. I mean, if you can't remember it, I mean, unless you was scuba diving and got your arm bitten off by a shark and you couldn't remember it, but you had no arm. So you know your arm. You know
I mean,
your arm
yeah,
got cut
okay,
off.
yeah, okay. If you have scars from it, it actually happened. You know, what I
Right.
mean, you're right. You're right. But I guess in this case,
Yeah,
only thing you can remember
perfect
is
happiness. Why would you have scars, right?
right. Like for example, if you woke up in whatever year, if you woke up the next year from that and you got a newborn baby, but you don't remember even having sex with the girl, you know what I'm saying? Like how, you know what I mean? Like how mentally would that be for a person? You know what I'm saying? So
But here's the
it's
thing,
tough
though.
for me.
Let me just throw this out there. I'm pretty sure that would have been explained to you, like the question said. So you would have known that coming back, you can't remember anything you did, but I'm pretty sure you would have seen the fruits of it, right? You'd have been like, your job let you have off for a year. You'd have like, I know I went away to this experiment and I can't remember anything, but I know I have this feeling that I know I was happy because it was told to me that it would have been perfect happiness. I can't remember it, but at least I know the reason why I chose to do it is because at the time.
Yeah. So to your point, um, it's more enticing that way because you know it's quote unquote perfect happiness. So
Right.
I'm assuming you're not sick during that time period. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? Like
No, it's
you're just having
perfect
a great
happiness.
time. So essentially, you're just taking a year off from life. You don't know
Right.
what happened. You have no idea, but you're just taking a year off from life. I guess if you put it that way, I probably would do it because I'm not missing anything. I took the year
Right.
off and I had happiness. Even though I remember it, I know I had a good year for that year. So I probably would do it. Yeah.
I mean, the
100%.
coronavirus is kind of showing us that now, right? We're all taking off. We take it off. Well, a couple months we life already.
Basically, yeah, 100%. So yeah, I probably would do it because of that nature and whatnot.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, it's funny because I was just looking at some of this off topic, but some of the NFL players are now like, listen, training camp about to start. Y'all don't have no plans for us. So what's going on? That's interesting myself. So very interesting.
So let's close the book on the book of questions. That was the last one. Now you said you had a surprise thing for us all. Did you say
Well,
that earlier?
you already know. No, I didn't say it. You already kind of know, but the audience doesn't know. So next week, July 26th at 6 p.m. on this channel, I will be, which you don't know, I'm going to tell you, but I will be starting a show focused on sports, specifically basketball, because the basketball NBA is coming back. inside the NBA bubble. Me and a group of friends of mine will be talking about it, talking about what to expect, our picks, who we think might win the championship, certain things going on, the safety of the players, all that good stuff on the show. And the show's title will be called Half Court Trap. So if you're a basketball fan, you know what that means. So basically, it's going to be Half Court Trap podcast on the Big Mike and Little Ant channel, and it's going to have all type of segments on there, and we're going to try to do that every couple of weeks at least to bring you guys stuff to increase the channel and have us more diverse with sports as well. So I'll let the audience know that, so please look out for that. So.
Wow, that's what's up, man. You know what's funny? When I mentioned the so here's what's cool. I don't like to take somebody's sales away, so to speak. So when I mentioned I would want to do a video game thing, I was gonna say similar to what you was planning, but something told me not to say it, and I had no clue that's what you were gonna say. So that's cool.
Yes,
cool.
That's only a week away. I wanted to give the audience a heads up. Half Court Trap podcast will be coming out soon. I'm super excited about it. So
that's what's up, man. I'm excited too. I'm not a sports fan, but I will have to try to check it out.
Yeah, even if you check out a little bit, just to let me know, for feedback, as far as our channel is concerned, I'll be happy about that. Maybe if you know sports fans, I'm sure you do, you can get them to watch as well, which will only increase our channel as well. So
yeah, definitely. I already got my boy Just Joe that I stream with on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. On the Now Your Mama Knows channel. We do All Purpose Champion Crew, and he's a sports fan, so I'm definitely gonna. I know a bunch of sports fans, man.
All right, cool, man. But anyway, that's the end of this show, Big Mike Little Ant, episode 11. It turned out to be a packed show. So
yeah, man.
We definitely love talking to Ant, and we love bringing this to you. We appreciate you guys watching. Of course, as always, like, comment, and subscribe, and give us all the feedback that you have.
Yeah, and don't forget, check out our review of The Old Guard. It is available right now. I appreciate everything you guys have to offer. Please comment. We love it. We love it. We love it. And with that said, I guess we're done.
All right.
Later.